Maple fusion, sounds of our history. How has music helped shape the past of Lethbridge's streets? Quirky and bold, with a weekend blend. Pull up the chair, let the tale begin.
Island rhythm and prairie roots. Today's episode takes us on a journey that flows from Bermudian roots to the vibrant streets of Toronto and the open skies of Alberta, weaving together family heritage, musical expression, and creative identity. Our guest is a talented artist and digital audio creator whose story is layered with sound, movement, and meaning. From Gombi dancers to rap lyrics, from classical and jazz band music to music production and digital audio arts, and more. His path is rich with experience, deep respect, and heart. This conversation explores how music can shape a life, how race and place intersect, and how community and creativity comes full circle. Shelley Kay with Maple Fusion, Sounds of Our History. And I'm joined today by...
Hi, I'm Aaron Richardson. I've worked in audio. I'm an audio engineer. I'm a music producer, classical musician. Yeah, I do anything creative in the arts I'm passionate about, and that's how I would describe what I do.
Very awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's wonderful to have you with us today.
Thank you.
Maple Mixers. Before we dive deep, let's have a little fun. Do some Maple Mixers and get to know each other. We have some selections and questions in here. Tap your buzzer if and you answer the questions. So would you like to select or answer first?
I'll select first.
Okay.
Let's see. Tap your buzzer if you've eaten dessert before dinner.
Oh, I have eaten dessert before dinner, a time or 10.
Yes. Can I tap too? Because I've definitely done that.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Tap your buzzer if you have ever worn mismatched socks on purpose.
I have to think back. Because sometimes socks, I can't tap it. I can't.
You
I don't
can't
think I
tap
have.
it?
I don't think I have.
Okay.
But I do have lots of fun with my shoes. And that's what made me hesitate for a second.
Okay.
Because even when I was performing in front of people, I always wore fun sneakers. That was my big thing. You're not supposed to really do that in classical music. You're supposed to wear, nice fancy dress
polished.
shoes. Yeah. But I'd like to wear fun, colorful
Funky
shoes. And then sometimes I'd wear socks that were crazy too, but they were always matching stuff. Yeah, I've never done mismatched socks.
Cool.
Yeah.
So our next game is a new game. We're going to try that out on you, Aaron.
Okay.
And we have some various objects on the table, and it's called Which One Is Not Like the Other? So do you have any idea of which one of these is not like the other?
Well, my first instinct, just seeing them all, I'm thinking of types of instruments. That was my first word. I was just looking at them. And I say most of them look like percussion instruments, except for this one that has a string on it.
Okay.
So that was my first thought. I don't, but you're saying that's probably more of a cultural thing rather than like an instrument group thing. But that was just my first thought.
Okay, so that's a good observation, but incorrect.
Yeah, I didn't think it was right.
Okay. Do you want to go again?
Can you give me what they are, some of them?
Oh,
what they
okay.
are.
This is an Appalachian canjo.
Oh, that's a canjo.
This
okay.
is a canjo.
Yeah.
It's usually tuned to the key of G.
Okay. I know what this is, but I don't know the name of it, but I've definitely... Pardon?
Kabasa.
Kabasa, thank you. Yeah, this reminds me of my mom, because she's an elementary school teacher who taught music, and a lot of these are bringing me back to those types of things, but I don't know the name. Okay, what do they all have in common except for one of these things? Two bells. One of them is just a... Okay, just checking if there was...
So a musician may have come to the answer of this game.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You put me on the spot. I don't know if I did.
Do you want, oh, and this is a frog.
Yeah, yes,
So it's
yes.
in the
I know how to play
Kabasa
this.
family, of
Yeah.
course. Okay, so which one of these, in many ways it's this, because you can use guitar picks to play.
Yeah.
But this is not a musical instrument, but it was fascinating. And could you share, what was your reaction when you...
I just wanted to see the tone. I was curious what the
tone
interval
is
would be.
similar.
Yeah, they are.
correct?
That's right.
And that's why I picked this one as opposed to the bluebell you were, because
see.
this is so, it's slightly sharpy.
Yeah, yeah.
This is E, and there's, oh, maybe it's flat.
Right.
But the tone, and so it's actually, this is the one that does not belong, because
it's
it's
not.
when you go in to be a guest, you ding your bell.
Sure. That makes sense. Yeah,
There you
I
go.
guess my musician mind was thinking you could use it as an instrument, but yes, you're right. I guess it's like not
Right.
like pitched the same way as like something like that.
Exactly. Okay. So thank you.
Cool.
That was a good game.
Yeah, that was fun.
Now we're going to go between the lines, where the music, the memories, and the meaning of the story unfolds. Well, Erin, we are here today, Island Rhythm and Prairie Roots, and this is your journey through sounds and space. And maybe let's start with all the different places. I think you've lived in 3, at least, major cities. Could you share that with us?
Absolutely. So, born in Toronto, so that would be the first major city. But as soon as I was born, my mom took me to Bermuda, which is where my family, pretty much all my family still lives there to this day. Moved there until about 4, and then moved to Calgary. I was in Calgary for just a little bit. I did kindergarten in Calgary. Then we moved back to Toronto. And then I basically did grade 1 all the way till grade 7. And then moved back to Calgary when I was 13. Finished high school in Calgary. Moved back to Toronto.
Oh my goodness.
I did college in Toronto for a year. Both my mom and I moved back to Toronto, and we felt like we missed Calgary. Or we missed Alberta at least, because then I started looking at schools in Alberta, and Lethbridge had a really unique program for audio engineering and music production that you still get a music degree in it. So that brought us back to Alberta, and I went to Lethbridge, did 8 years here doing 2 different degrees. So I started doing the digital audio stuff and then wanted to get back into performing. Started doing clarinet lessons so I could audition for that program. So I did 8 years in Lethbridge, then moved to Hamilton for 2 years just to support my girlfriend while she was doing her master's. Now we're back in Lethbridge. So yeah, those are, so main areas though, I would say, yeah, Toronto, Calgary, and Bermuda, I suppose, are like the main areas that I would say I've moved between the 3. I consider all 3 equally my home in different ways. So yeah, I would say a third of my life in all those 3 areas.
So in talking to you before, and just in the few mentions you've got here, music seems to have been a part of your life. Can you share a bit about, like, has it always been a part of your life, and how did that come about?
My earliest memories are just from my mom, because she's a school teacher. So, and she taught music in her schools. She also taught grade 4 or 5 pretty much for my whole childhood, but she also taught music for the whole school. She had me doing every type of lesson for every instrument. Started with piano, as I think a lot of young kids do. Hated it, did not enjoy it at all. I think I would enjoy it. I enjoyed it once I started doing it more in university, but you know, when you're a kid and it seems like it's a lot. If it's like, especially the way that I was being taught, where like you can't look at your hands and you want to look at your hands, and it's just like, it's frustrating.
And
so.
Royal Conservatory, probably.
That was for drums. I did Royal
Okay.
Conservatory for drums, yeah. So, which was a little later, because yeah, that was a little bit later. But we did piano. I did a bit of guitar and bass guitar for a little bit, just like experimenting with things, right? Like my mom had me doing them all and seeing what I stuck with and liked. And then, yeah, I stuck with drums for a long time. I really, really liked drums. And then the clarinet came into my life once we moved to Calgary the second time when I was 13. And that was kind of a deal my mom had with me. If we were moving from Toronto to Calgary and I'm leaving all my friends, it's like, here's the deal. We'll do drum lessons privately, and in school you can play in the band. We'll play saxophone. That's what we'll play saxophone. I wanted to play saxophone. That was the deal at first, but then I compromised when we actually got to Calgary, and I picked up clarinet because my mom had played clarinet. I had a secondhand one that I could pick up and play. So yeah, like lots of that. And also, yeah, it's just always been in my life. Even at a young age, just when I think of the Bermudian roots, when I think about it, I was so young. So I don't know if, it's hard to say that I was aware of it, but it must have done something to me, because when I hear island music and Caribbean music now, it just feels like it's in my soul. So, whenever I hear reggae and soca and all these things, those are things, even when I go to Bermuda now, you hear it just everywhere. So whenever I hear that music, it just feels good. And then the classical stuff comes more in university, when I started picking up clarinet again, and I fell in love with classical music and jazz around there too. I didn't really care about jazz before then, but through that more theoretical approach to music that I was getting into in university, that's when jazz and classical really became part of my life. Can't forget about hip hop music too, was like a genre that I loved growing up. At least growing up, I've always felt like in my communities that I lived in Toronto, hip hop, R&B, more urban music was popular. And then when I moved to Calgary, less so. But I was aware of that style of music, and it was always part of my growing up too, and rap music and all that was like a big part too.
And do you feel the beats? Like when you talk about Bermudian music and some of the clips that you sent me, there's that beat that's going through it. So you've got a basis and beat. You took drumming, and then you mentioned the Gombe dancers and the other martial art form, and there's drumming and is it the beats, do you feel, that gives you that connection to?
I think you nailed it. I think 100%. I think anything that has that African roots is really rhythm and beat oriented. And that's what all of that is, right? Yeah, that's what I feel for sure. It's always, it starts with the rhythm. And I think that's probably why, drums really connected with me, because I get to now create those rhythms, with a drum kit. And that was really fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and when you talk about the Gombe dancers, could you share a bit about that with us?
Okay. So they're a cool, interesting cultural heritage style in Bermudian culture. So from what I've been told is everyone creates their own outfit. So they wear these very elaborate costumes that each person can make their own. They have like these huge hats that, have like flowers. Flowers is not the right word, but like...
Feathers?
Feathers, thank you. Feathers sticking out of them. They often have capes, and they have masks. A lot of times, some of them don't wear masks, some of them do. And it's a mixture of dance, like a community dance, kind of ritualistic type of vibe, and drumming. So you have a drummer and a leader who has a whistle, and they're leading the troop, and they go around to different communities, and they just perform. It's a performance for the community. And so that happens a lot during the summertime in Bermuda, especially. They have harbor nights is what they call them during the summer, and they'll go around to a lot of the hubs, because especially now when it's a big tourist, that's a lot of their infrastructure is based on tourism. So they'll go to a lot of the tourist spots and just close down the streets, and everyone grabs around, and locals love it too. It's for everybody, and it's just like a great time. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So can we do a field trip?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Bermuda.
Please. I want to take everybody. I think everyone should go at some point. Yeah, because it's a beautiful place. Pink sand, beaches.
Oh my gosh.
All the roofs are white. That's like a rule, and all pastel colors in terms of the rest of the house. So when you go to the highest spot, you can look down, and it's a very, like a cool white roofs and pinks and blues. It's like beautiful.
Wonderful. Now, you mentioned something else that I can't quite pronounce, but I think it was a martial arts.
Yeah.
Could you share a bit about that?
Sure. It's called capoeira. Capoeira, yes. It's a Afro-Brazilian martial arts. I started it probably around 9 or 10 years old. And it was a way for another extracurricular activity my mom had me doing. So before that, my mom had me doing karate, another martial arts. And I liked it, but I didn't stick to it. And I think my mom, when she found out about this martial art, she knew it'd be perfect for me, because this one is it is a martial arts. It's all dodge and kick based pretty much. But what's unique about it is that it's also a dance. And when you doing, or if you're doing combat with another person who's training in it, you're dancing with them. You're not ever supposed to hit the person. You're supposed to see if they're kicking, you dodge. If you're dodging, you're watching them. It's a movement, activity basically, where you're dodging their kicks and kicking them, and they're dodging, and you're dancing. You're literally dancing with each other. And you also have to learn an instrument to play. I forget the name of it, but you learn this instrument that has one string. You pluck it. Sometimes you're the person playing that instrument while the people are, doing that combat with each other.
So you couldn't use a banjo?
No, it's a very specific instrument. It kind of looks similar. It really does kind of look similar. So yeah, that was a important time in my life. One, because I was in the best shape of my life. I was young, but I could do handstands. You have to be really fit to do it. You're doing handstands, you're doing flips, a lot of it's a very acrobatic martial art. And ever since, I've loved that culture. Since that was the first kind of my introduction to Brazilian music, was that martial arts. And then I started digging into it more, and then realizing there's a whole sub-genre of jazz music that is really influenced by Brazilian music. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like Latin jazz, they sometimes call it, or just anything that's has kind of like bossa nova rhythms and stuff. You can find it in some jazz music.
So did that help or influence you at all when you actually did your classical music or jazz in university too?
Totally. I gravitated towards that stuff, and that's the stuff that I still think is the most, I shouldn't say innovative, but the most fun. Yeah.
That's you.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you talk about your mom getting you into these, and she's being a music teacher. So was she a good influence for you, do you feel, in getting into music?
Totally. Yeah. Like even when she was young, she played trombone and clarinet, as I said before. She also played some viola. So yeah, she was very musical. She taught music to her students that she had in school, so 100%. Even the early music that I listened to was basically her music. I don't think I really discovered what I love until, my early teens. But yeah, a lot of the music that was in the house was hers, and that influenced me a whole lot. Yeah.
Sugar and facts. And now it's time for a little sugar and facts trivia treat to keep your brain dancing. And so for our trivia bit today, we have a real surprise. Aaron is going to give us trivia.
So there's a little trivia on the clarinet. One of the first woodwind instruments introduced to the orchestra, mostly popularized by Mozart. He was actually the first to do concertos and a lot of repertoire for the clarinet. So I played a lot of that stuff when I was in university. So thank you, Mozart.
And so production and the audio side, how did you slide into that and get that interest going?
Yeah, I think it really started from social pressures to feel like being a musician is not a real job. Just that social pressure of that. It's not true, and I know that to not be true now. But I think, when you're a young person going through grade school and people are, telling you gotta think of what career you want and stuff like that. Sometimes when you say musician or artist, it doesn't get a lot of respect, or people don't, understand that. So I think because of that, and knowing that I want a good job and I want to be, useful in society, I'm thinking, well, I got to do something creative and artistic, and I think so that gravitated to me towards that side of things.
Well, and I think there is a reality of that.
Sure, yeah.
Because with music, like other careers as well, there's a lot of musicians, and there's not a lot of well-paid, really good musicians. Whereas when you have your day job, it pays your bills.
Yes.
And so that's a very, very wise decision.
Yeah, and I think it started, maybe, I don't know if it was from somebody telling me that I should think about that, or also just the music I loved growing up. Like when I was a teenager, hip hop music was so important to me. And hip hop music is often just divided into two kind of categories. You got the production, you got the beats, and the rapping. Often it's thought of as those two things. And those were I understood that, and I loved both sides. So I'm like, okay, I want to be a rapper. I want to do hip hop music. What's the best way to do that? Be a music producer and make your own beats. And I think it kind of started from that too, that understanding of just what hip hop music was made of and wanting to be part of it.
So tell me more about this hip hop and rap, and,
Yeah.
and again, the word beats comes
Beats.
into play,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
doesn't it?
That's what they
It's
call
like-
it in the rap world. They just call them beats. When I growing up, one of my role models musically was Will Smith and the Fresh Prince.
Ah, okay.
Because my mom let me, I wasn't allowed, like really young, I wasn't allowed to listen to a lot of hip hop music because a lot of it has the parental advisory stuff on it, right?
Right.
So, but my mom knew I liked it, so she tried to find stuff that was clean. So early on, it was like DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince and Will Smith's early albums, which were all clean. He never swore in anything. And he became like a role model for me because of that. And then, you know, I became more sophisticated and learned more about really when I became like a teen and started, you know, do research and critical thinking, look into more of the music. I found people like The Roots, who are by far now still my favorite hip hop entity, favorite band, favorite musical group of all time. And then I actually started listening to Canadian hip hop. I don't even think we talk, I'm just thinking of all this stuff. Because through that, around this time, so this would have been around like 2008, people kind of felt like there were like two strands of hip hop music. There's like the conscious, they called it conscious rap, and then they had like the street gangster type stuff. And I really went down the conscious route. And then Canadian hip hop kind of became on my radar because of that, because I don't know, maybe you know Classified. He's probably one of the most famous Canadian rappers because he did that "Oh Canada" song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he was kind of like the in, and he was an amazing person because he put a lot of other Canadian artists on his albums too. So through him, I found a lot of other Canadian rappers like Chaos. I don't know if you know the song Crab Bucket? Put the crab in the bucket.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so people don't think of him as a rapper, but he is a rapper too. He has a lot of rap songs. There's Kanon, who did Wave and Flag. So I fell in love with Canadian hip hop basically, and Canadian rappers because they didn't feel like they had to conform to that street and gangster attitude. So yeah, I really went down that route, and I would say, and that style of music was everything that I wanted to embody, and that positivity, to the point where when I was in high school, I started dabbling in it a little bit. I was at a new high school, I knew nobody because it wasn't my designated high school, and so I wrote a rap song, and it was it's funny because I brought it with me today to show you guys.
Oh,
it's like,
I can hardly wait.
it's so funny. Thinking back, I haven't listened to it in a while, but it's very simple looking back. But the fact, when I think about the fact that I did that in front of the school, the school had this thing called Brookstock because I went to Lord Beaverbrook High School, and I did this song that I wrote. It was called "Be Happy and Smile," I think is what it's called, and it was just a really positive message about be happy and smile, and you know, a really like simple beat that I made on I think GarageBand at the time, and yeah, I recorded my vocals for it and I performed it in front of the school, and I remember feeling so cool because a couple days later, like these football players who were at the school were like, "Oh, you did that song in front," and I was like, "Yeah, that was me." And like I felt, and I'm in grade 10, so I'm like a freshman basically at high school, and I'm feeling really cool in that moment. Yeah, and the only thing I wish I did more now, and the only way it's still kept, I love the genre still. I still listen to a lot of hip hop, and it's probably the genre that I'm the most picky with. And yeah, I wish I did more. I still write to this day. I still do a lot of writing, but I've struggled to get a full song kind of done. I often just kind of have lyrics in my head that
you start with, but you need that time, that creative space, don't you,
exactly.
to create it. The other evening I had work to do and I didn't get it done because something hit me and I had to write it. Let's rewind. You moved to Calgary and you were 13?
13.
Okay, so I'm assuming that was a huge culture shock coming from Toronto. And did that shift affect your sense of self, or did you find that race and color, being an individual, did that hit you when you hit Calgary?
100%, yeah. So imagine this, like I'm in school in Toronto. Everyone at my school looks like me, and what I mean by that is most of them are black and brown people, to the point where you don't think about color and race because it's just everyone looks like you. It's not, no one mentions anything about that because they all look like you. So moving to Calgary when I was 13 was when I think of the first time where I like really faced what it meant to be a different color than somebody. To the point where now I'm going to junior high and I'm now one of 2 or 3 other black people that I see. Everyone else is white. And I become like a conduit for them to ask questions. Like, for example, like I don't think anyone that I went to school with was a racist at all. I always just say there's some racial ignorance when you don't grow up with people who don't look like you. And I think that's what I would hear a lot of. Like a lot of people saying things like, oh, you're an Oreo, which is like a comment I'd never heard before, and they would have to explain to me. And they were like, what that means, if you don't know, is you're black on the outside, but white on the inside. And there was a comment that like didn't hurt my feelings because luckily I had that grounding from Toronto and knowing that I've always been this way in terms of maybe, yes, I'm nerdier and maybe I don't talk the same way as maybe the stereotypical black person you might see on social or, in the media or whatever. But it was interesting. I think I took that as like, well, they just don't know any better. And so that would be the biggest culture shock thing. But, also in hindsight, I have to say, I feel like I found myself when I came to Calgary. I feel like facing with that made me more of a critical thinker. I also think I found a group of people who maybe didn't look like me, but had interests that were similar to me. Whereas growing up in a semi-impoverished neighborhood in Toronto, you don't have the privilege to kind of think about how you're expressing yourself as much. And now I'm in a more, affluent neighborhood in Calgary, and I have friends who are also into music and a little nerdier, and we can all be friends, and I don't, have to feel like I have to hide that stuff. So this is just like, big picture, yes, there was some racial ignorance, but I found some of my closest friends are the ones I made, through that time. And now living in Alberta, just in general, people who have similar interests than me, and color doesn't matter at all.
So that was a good move for you as well with that musical piece as well. And studying classical music, you mentioned something also about how that maybe came into play a bit too.
Absolutely, yeah. Specifically working in classical music is an interesting thing because classical music is a European Western tradition, historically very white. And I enjoyed the feeling that I can kind of carve lanes out that aren't that, because there are examples of composers that aren't, but I think I just felt like a minority in that space a lot of the time.
And yet you overcame that.
Yeah. I felt empowered to, in fact, because it's fun. It's kind of, I feel that empowered to just kind of be me and be something that you don't often see on stage. I don't think you often see many black classical clarinet players, and I think that's cool and that's fun. Big thing that I was a big fan of, because sometimes classical music gets a bad rep because it's very like, you have to sit, when you're in the audience, you sit proper, you do not clap in between movements, you wait till the end and then you politely clap, and I kind of want to change that. I wanted to change that. And so I was really a proponent on explaining to people the context of the music. I like to stand up in front. So this is what we're going to play, explaining some history of it, who we are and like what our, idea is for this piece to help people understand, because I can understand. Yeah, because I think that's really what it is. I think that for anything, any sport you don't like, it's probably just because you don't understand what's really happening on the field. And so it makes it harder to kind of, get into it. Yeah.
And so let's lead up to, we went backwards. Let's go forward now. Mm-hmm. You're now working for the city of Lethbridge, and your position actually is called?
I am the Civic Culture Support. It's a new position that the city started. I started my job 3 months ago, so that's when the position started. The city has a new civic culture plan that they're enacting, and I'm one of the key components to see that through. And it's probably perfect for me because it really does combine everything that I've done up to everything that I've just explained to you that I've done up to this point. And it's a task that's asking me basically and the community to think about intercultural relationships with each other and how everyone and making the environment that we live in feel more representative of the people who live there.
Okay. Well, and it sounds like, you know, in hearing you lay everything out, it really does sound like this job was almost written for you.
Yeah, it was really exciting when I saw the posting and started interviewing for it, and yeah.
Well, you're so open, and I've got to share how we met, and some of the reactions actually from that, and I guess even a question. So being part of the Allied Arts and the city, and how we met was through a cultural experience where you showed up and I needed somebody in a blow-up outfit, and you put on this mascot frog outfit, and I've never seen it groove to the beats like you did.
It was so fun. I would do it again. Like, that was so fun.
It was just, I was waiting for the look in your face when you said, "Can I help you with anything?" And I do, looking back in retrospect, think I was joking when I said, "Well, I have a frog outfit. Would you like to wear it?" And you didn't even blink.
Yeah.
You just said,
"Sure,
let's
try it out."
Like, let's go.
I had a feeling you didn't think I would actually say yes, but
no, I really didn't.
Yeah.
And people have seen, because we've done a video, a promo video for myself of my work, and you're in that, and people are like, "Who's that frog?" Because who you are exudes through everything it seems you do, even a frog outfit.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Is there anything else that I haven't asked that you'd like to share with us?
I don't think so. I think there's always more I could say, but I don't know what it is right now. I feel like things always come up in my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, that was, but yeah, no, I think we got all the important things.
Oh,
yeah.
Wonderful. Bringing it in. Let's switch gears and see what our guest brought in to share about their part of history. So Aaron, bringing it in, what have you brought in for us?
Okay, this is so funny to me, but this is my the hip hop song I made in high school that I performed in front of the school. So this is a music video that I made for a class that same year.
So from the school, that you went to out of the designated area, did that influence of that production class, is that influence, is that what this is the result of?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I made the beat myself. I produced it myself on GarageBand. I recorded it myself. So absolutely, this is an accumulation of all the things I loved at the time. Rapping, production, making the beats, even videography a little bit, and making a whole production, performing in front of the school. So yeah, this is a representation of that.
Yo, let's hear the beats then.
This is going to be so
Take
funny.
It away.
This is going to be so funny. Here we go.
Woo!
Yeah.
I can't even watch it.
Let's go. Ride. Feels good. Alright, everybody has the times that feel low, but I see the light inside of you, you gotta let it glow, and never let it go, cause you on a mission of good nutrition, diet of fun times, and happiness is what you wish it. Being happy equals better lives, simple addition.
Whoa, that's awesome. Wow. Okay, now if I were a football player, I would also tell you, you were in grade 10.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible. And so is this your only piece you've done?
In terms of like hip hop rapping, yes, but I mean, I got lots of, I brought a classical piece that I did in university as well, like with me and some of my friends performing. I'm playing clarinet in that one. I should do more stuff like this.
You should.
I know.
And I think too, I mean, for someone in grade 10, if we think about this outside of yourself, what do you think? Like that, it's got such an incredible message and it's so well done, both musically, but lyrically and the beats. Wow.
Yeah, I look at it and it's hard for me to watch just because, it's weird when you're, but it is cool. I can acknowledge that it's cool. And yeah.
So now you've brought something else as well.
Yeah.
And can you explain a little bit who's who here and what we're going to sing?
Okay, so this is what you would call chamber music, where you have a small group of musicians collaborating together. So I'm here on the right. I'm playing my clarinet. In the middle, we have Alexandra Morgan. She's a vocalist, one of my good friends, so she'll be singing. And then we have Daniel Kim here on the left. He's playing piano. And we're playing a piece called Der Sinnen Hemway, which is German for the homesick shepherdess.
Can I just see the music for a moment? So this is this would be the orchestral score that you guys followed along, and so are all the parts in here?
They might be. Well, yeah, because there's the piano part.
Okay.
And then it has the lyrics as well.
Cool.
So yeah.
Okay, let's take it away.
All right.
So this music, this was just a fun piece that you did.
Yeah, because I just wanted to collaborate with people, so we took the opportunity to, just on our own accord to kind of
Wonderful.
perform with each other. Yeah.
She has a beautiful voice. Your pianist is awesome, and wow, your clarinet, it is beautiful. Is that your mom's clarinet?
No, this is more of a professional one that I bought later on.
And of course, in a church, did you pick that because of the acoustics?
The acoustics are so good. It makes everyone sound better.
Right.
We're already great, but it helps a lot. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I would just like to thank you so much for coming today and sharing everything that you did, and especially the bringing in part. This is wonderful. So thank you so much.
Yeah, this was fun. Thank you.
Great. And I'm Shelley Kay with Maple Fusion, Sounds of Our History, with, in Lethbridge,
Aaron Richardson.
It's been such a joy to pull up a chair with Aaron today, to hear about the sounds and spaces that have shaped him, and to reflect on the role of music, culture, and identity in the places we call home, and the journey of our lives. Aaron's journey reminds us that our creative paths are never linear, and that music shapes not only our lives, but also the histories we carry with us. From his earliest roots to his work now here in Lethbridge, music has been obviously a guiding force, weaving together story, identity, and community. Thank you so much for joining in and listening to Maple Fusion, Sounds of Our History. Until next time, keep listening to the stories beneath the surface.
Maple Fusion, sounds of our history. How has music helped shape the past of Lethbridge's streets? Quirky and bold, with a weekend.